ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
Up the Cherries in all departments has been nominated for the Best Club Content Creator for the Premier League. To vote, visit the link on screen. We thank you in advance for your support, and up the Cherries.
Welcome back to the Dean Court Social, all Cherries fans, and hello to our friends from Leeds as well. Good to have you with us. Now, before we get going, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button below. It helps this channel to grow. And if you are a Cherries fan and a Leeds fan who are watching this show, please go and vote for us in the Football Content Awards. We are privileged to be up for that award for the best content creator for the Premier League. But it wouldn't be the Dean Court Social if it wasn't my main man next to me, Mr. Matthew Harrison. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, all good. Looking forward to another weekend of Premier League football, but I think this could potentially be a tough one for Bournemouth. So, yeah, looking forward to taking a look at it.
Definitely. And just to reiterate some facts, we haven't beaten Leeds away at Elland Road, but we did come close last time out. We was 3-1 up, and we was beaten 4-3. Matt, we watched the game together. What do you remember of that day, apart from us kind of throwing it away?
Well, I remember celebrating away when we were 3-1 up, a bit premature, and getting some stick off the Leeds fans at the time on the watch along, if I remember rightly. But yeah, I think it's a totally different ball game back then, wasn't it? We were under Gary O'Neill.
Yeah.
The football has changed massively since then. The side's got a lot better. But yeah, Elland Road is always a difficult place to go to. And I'm not surprised that the stat that we've never managed to get any points up there stands. Not that we've been up there too many times. I think it's in 7 attempts, isn't it? So yeah, but there's always got to be a time where that gets broken. But yeah, no, it's I think when you look back at it, I think that game, I mean, did we expect to go up there and win? You know, I think everybody would have taken the draw that day, but when we were 3-1 up, we looked like we were cruising, and it just literally fell apart, didn't it? And
to be honest, Leeds were nothing special.
No.
Leeds were nothing special, and we should have held on. Yeah, we might have conceded a goal, but to be honest, to get beaten 4-3 from 3-1 up, you know, kind of all those people that did say about Gary O'Neill being the wrong person, you know, that game in itself probably showed against a manager who, let's be fair, was fighting for his life at the time in Jesse Marsh. There was rumours before that game that Jesse Marsh was going to be sacked from his position at Leeds if he didn't win that game. At 3-1 down, it looked like the Canadian would be heading out the exit door. Or no, he's American, isn't he? American. Gonna have
Is
to,
he? I don't
I'm
know.
gonna have to check. I'm gonna
I
have
know,
to
I
check.
know he manages. I know he manages the Canadian international side, but what nationality? I'm not sure.
Do you know what? It does make me laugh. I did see a piece of it on him, and it was from Sky Sports. It must have been Monday Night Football, and he's talking to, I think it was Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville about getting in the red zone, getting in the red zone. Yeah, it's he's an interesting character, but yeah,
Mm.
he was under the cosh. He is actually American, managing the Canadian national team. See where I got confused there,
Yeah,
guys?
yeah.
Hands up, hands up. Sorry, Jesse, if you're watching. Um, of course, we have changed a lot, but so have Leeds. This time round, a lot of their players from that season have gone. Um, who are the key men who we need to watch out for, Matt? Do you reckon?
Well, I think this time, overall they have improved. As a team, individually as well. Obviously, a big addition to them for this summer was Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who I think they see as a bit of a marquee signing, really.
Yeah.
But he brings not only Premier League experience, but a threat in front of goal as well. And if they can keep him fit, I think that will be very, very but very, very key to them staying in the league this season. I think they got a
Mhm,
much better chance of staying in the league this season than they did have the previous time they were in the Premier.
mhm.
They've also got players like Daniel James. I mean, Daniel James got his move to Manchester United, didn't he? Unfortunately, it didn't work out
Yeah.
for him. But since he's been at Leeds, he's been a real asset for them from what I've seen. Obviously, he's still very key at international level as well. But he's got a lot of pace on him, a lot of directness. On the wing, he's very very crucial for like counter attacks for them. So they're two players that are very key. There's also another one called Wilfred. I forget his surname. Wilfred.
Not Nonto.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
him. He's really a gifted player. He's someone
Mhm.
that I think a lot of top clubs will be looking at. Um, I think he's really pretty much a game changer as well for him.
Yeah.
So he is really key, I think,
Mhm.
and probably quite underrated at times as well.
Yeah.
And then you look at other players as well. There's is it Joel Pereira?
Yes.
He's very reliable in front of goal. Very very sharp, good movement in the box. So attacking and creatively, they're quite. I think they're in a lot better place than they were.
Mhm.
What was it? They had 2 years out of the Premier, didn't they? So
Yeah.
going back to when we last played them at Elland Road, they're in a much much better position. But then they got other players across the field as well that can do a job. Obviously, they've got Sean Longstaff that's come in from Newcastle.
Mhm.
Um, brings a lot of Premier League experience, which is probably just what they need, just that extra bit of Premier League experience in their midfield. They've got the Welsh, their captain, Welsh international, Ethan. You know what I'm like with these surnames.
Ah,
Ethan
Ampadu.
Ampadu, that's
Yeah.
it. Again, he's like a real anchor in their midfield from a defensive kind of outlook. And he's a leader as well. I think he always looks very very like he's got a lot of leadership qualities.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of Leeds play over the last sort of couple of years, but when I have seen them and when I've seen him play internationally as well,
Mhm.
he does seem like he's got that kind of leadership
Mhm.
credentials about him. So and also I mean when you look at their defence as well. I think they got James Justin, haven't they? I think he was at Leicester, wasn't he? James Justin,
Yes.
and he's quite flexible across their back line. I mean, I think there's. I'm surprised they've still got the same goalkeeper
Mhm.
because I think he come under quite a lot of scrutiny at one point, didn't he? Is it Mesler? Can't pronounce
Uh,
any surnames, but
yes, yes. Although saying that, Lucas Perry has
Yeah.
played 3 games as well so far this season.
Oh, has he? Yeah, right. So it looks
Yeah.
like then he's there. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know much about Lucas Perry, to be fair. I know he's an international, but in terms of his actual game, I'm not too sure. So I'm not too sure what his distribution's like or things like that. But yeah, so yeah, I'm not surprised that the other guy's not their number one then currently. Probably makes sense. But yeah, there is definitely a few more names in there that I would say that we've got to be more wary of this time. But then again, when we look at the Bournemouth side of things shortly, I would say we're also in a stronger place than we last faced them. So be interesting.
Yes, 100%, 100%, and it will be an interesting game. Of course, Daniel Farker is
Yeah.
the manager at Leeds United now, so they've gone from going in the red zone to the trusty German. However, however, I've got to say one thing:
Mm.
Marcelo Bielsa, it definitely did work for Leeds. Jesse Marsh, it kind of worked for Leeds. Daniel Farker has managed twice in the Premier League before. The first season he got relegated straight away with Norwich City. The second season he was sacked after getting his first win in November time. Let's look at his tactical philosophy and Leeds' tactical philosophy this time. Is it Championship? Is it actually Premier League? And can he keep them in this division? What are we expecting?
Time will tell on that. Across, we all know it's a very, very long season. I mean,
Mm,
it's all right to see us at the top end of the table now, but it's a long old season. We still got a hell of a lot of work to keep ourselves up there.
yeah,
When you look at Leeds, they've got a lot of work to do to stay in the league. He's more. I think he's kind of changed his outlook on things. I mean, last year in the Championship, when I just had a look at some stats
yeah,
before we did this, they looked in terms of dominance, they had a lot of high percentages in possession.
yeah.
Since being back in the Premier League, it looks like he's kind of changed his outlook on it. To more now, he's trying to mirror his tactics to the opponents. And
Mm,
rather than having one kind of set, whether it's formation or tactic or what, but
yeah.
but he's going to adapt. It looks like he's going to adapt more game by game,
Mm,
which seems quite interesting. I think it's quite an interesting tactic to have.
mhm.
So he's gonna basically set up against the likes of, and I think he's done it to Arsenal. I think they've played Arsenal already, haven't they?
Yeah.
And I think he admitted that it kind of didn't work, but I think he's going to try and tailor the side to the opponent. So it'd be quite interesting to see how he tailors against
Mm.
Bournemouth.
But isn't it a dangerous game though, that? Because at the end of the day, when we first went into the Premier League all those years ago, we did adapt to certain teams. We did change our style because playing against certain teams dictated that. However, if you do it for every single team in the Premier League, could your players lose their way? We're in a nice position now, in all honesty. And we'll come on to how well we've grown in just a second, because I think it segues quite nicely in. But the thing is we're able to dictate the style of play we're able to play against teams. We're not going to go into this match. Iriola's not going to go into this match and think, how does Leeds play? We better adapt to them, because hand on heart, and I think, even Leeds fans would admit, we're a better side than they are this season. Regardless, I know that they might not like that, and know that they think they're a very, very big club, but at the same time, they will think, I'm sure they will think, the realistic ones at least will think Bournemouth are a better side than we are this season. And you know how damaging could it be if you're just adapting to each team?
I think it's hard to get consistency like that, isn't it?
Mm,
And I think if you look at our side and the way we've played, okay, the previous performance against Newcastle wasn't, prolific or clinical enough. But
should have
when
won
we
it.
look, say again.
Should have won it.
Yeah, should have won it. Yeah, should have won it. Yeah, no, yeah, we should have won it, but we didn't. But I think if you look across all our performances, I would say there is a consistency there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are, I mean, I haven't seen many of Leeds games this season, so I'm not going to lie. But if you seem to tinker too much with, your side and maybe your tactics, if that's the way they're looking, then I think that can cause you, probably more damage than good. But I think it's a very interesting philosophy for a manager to have who's just been promoted with a side, to say, no, we're going to, tweak the side and adapt the side depending on who the opponent is. I mean, when they played Arsenal, I think he was quoted in saying that basically the attempt for Leeds to build through, Arsenal early on in the game kind of backfired on them. And that kind of showed the risks of, overcommitting to possession against, these bigger sides. So
yeah,
it's a funny one, isn't it? I mean, I don't think I'd want our side to. I mean, all managers do adapt slightly, don't they? Because you've got different threats. Like you look at Newcastle, we knew the threat was the striker. Especially when you looked at the starting lineup with those the free midfield trio not all being there.
yeah.
Really their main key was the striker. Everyone, and even us, like last week in the social, saying about the height element of it. But he's adapted. Iriola adapted the player personnel, brought Diakite back in, who was absolutely phenomenal. Whereas, I thought Milo Sakovic would stay in purely for the height element of it. But every manager just tweak things to adapt to the opposition's threat. But I think from what I've researched and looked into with Leeds, it looks like they twinker the side quite a lot, which I think it's different, especially from last season when they seemed very, very dominant in possession. It seems quite a different thing to do in this division, but time will tell. Won't it? I mean, let's see if they survive or not. But I think looking at their personnel, they're much more equipped to survive this season than they were the previous seasons when they were up here.
Well, we are an attacking force. And we are really going to go for the juggler, no doubt. Just to keep in mind, of course, we mentioned the game at Elland Road, but the game that really put them deep in the shit, put nicely, was that game down at Dean Court, where, Jefferson Lerma played a fantastic match, to be honest. He was one of the most standout players on that pitch. And, we've got so much better from that point as well. Let's be fair, if we didn't play at that intensity, that we did that day, it could well have been that Leicester and Everton, Goodison Park, could have been finished off in the Championship. But they have to be very, very careful. And I honestly think that we've just got too much for their back line, and we will seal our first win at Elland Road. But I'll tell you what, Matt, what we'll do is we'll get on a special guest from All Leeds TV, and this is what they had to say.
Leeds versus Bournemouth this weekend, so this is going to be a very, very tough game. I feel like it's a winnable game, but at the same time, it's a very losable game. And yeah, it's going to be very, very tight, I think. I think what we have to do is, to try and win this game, we've got to keep Semenyo quiet. And we've just got to take his chances. If we can take chances, because we'll get very few chances, I think, against these, because they've got very good defence and they're very good at pressing. So if we can get our passing game on form and not spending too much time dilly-dallying on the ball, we've got every chance of winning this. And I think that's where our target man, Calvert-Lewin, now he's scored his first goal. Hopefully he's hungry for more. And Okafor's maybe hitting a bit of form that we can really get something out of this. But if Goodmanson, Stack and Ampadu, I think, are going to be the key players to keep Semenyo quiet. And if that happens, we've got every chance to win. Bogle on the right-hand side is going to be massive that he's back. Because that gives us that creativity and that attacking threat on the right-hand side as well. But yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. I think, apart from Semenyo, I can't see where the other threats are coming from. I don't watch too much of Bournemouth, but I can't see where the other threats are that are capable of outplaying the players that we've got. I do believe that our players, even though we're a newly promoted team, I do believe that our players are capable of competing at this level against these types of teams. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but I think we can compete with Bournemouth. And yeah, it's shown we've put against like Everton, against Newcastle. I think we can. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I do think Bournemouth will score, but I think we'll nick it right at the end with a 2-1 win.
So there we are, and thank you to our guest from All Leeds TV. So I tell you what, let's go and predict what the lineup is going to be, and here it is. Matt, talk us through it.
Fairly easy one, really, isn't it? I think personally he's not going to change the side. I don't know. I just got that feeling he's going to stick with the same team, the same back line. I thought the back line were great. Shame Jimenez had to come off at half time, but I completely understood the decision.
Yeah.
Silly yellow card right on the stroke of half time. And I thought by bringing on Hill in the second half, I think that just sort of protected our back line a little bit. But I think against this Leeds side, it'd be good to see him running at him. I thought it was great to see him take a couple of shots out of the box, which I think we should personally do more of. But obviously the boss knows best. But it was nice to see that. So he stays in for me, Jimenez. Diakite, like I say, we said on Cherry Slaps this week, spotting his strengths in terms of not only defensively, but in terms of how he controlled that back line and how he interacted with the rest of the players in terms of predicting passes, things like that. So, I think he's a very intelligent player. Senesi, I don't understand why you'd change him. You wouldn't. I think he's back to his best again. And yeah, Adrian Truffert, well, we all know what Soler can do, but I think, Soler is still developing. Whereas Truffert, I think he's been excellent since he's been in. So, Scott and Adams, I think here, this is obviously what we're predicting that Andoni's going to start with. I personally, for this game, I don't know about yourself, but I would probably do a change here for Leeds. I think I would probably bring Christie into the midfield for Scott.
Yeah.
I just think Scott has had some really good performances lately, but I think a couple of times against Newcastle, he probably kept hold of the ball a little bit too long when he probably should have released the ball. But he's a fantastic player. I love Scott, I really do. But I think for this encounter, I think it would be time to bring Christie back in personally. I don't know what you think on that, but
I guess when you look at the teams that we're playing over the next couple of weeks, they're all very winnable games. And if we do win all four of them, where are we going to be? I wouldn't be surprised if we're second in the league. It would be unbelievable. But to do that, if we're going to do that, we are going to have to rotate at some point. These players are going to need a little bit of rest, a little bit of freshening up. And this could well be the game to do that, So I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen, Ryan Christian. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Kluivert comes in for Marcus Tavernier.
Well, that was my next point. Yeah.
Go on.
No, sorry. No, I was just going to say that's exactly my next point. But I think, Brooksy's been fantastic. Okay, if he can't last the 90 minutes, just 60, 65 minutes of Brooksy.
Yeah.
I think he earns his place. I think he's been fantastic. Semenyo, what else can you say? you can't say anything else. He's always going to be on the team sheet. Tavernier, I am a fan of Tavs. I am, but I just think now is probably the time to bring Kluivert back in. I thought when he come back in off the bench against Newcastle, I thought we were lacking a bit of flair at the time. He added a little bit to it. Obviously, tested Pope from the free kick. But I just think, with how much of an impact Kluivert had last season, and I know he's had his little niggle and things like that during pre-season. I know that always gives you a setback at the start of the season, but I think personally, if I was picking this team Saturday, Kluivert would be back in there, and unfortunately, I think it would be for Tav. But yeah, I mean, what's your view on it? I mean, personally, for me, Kluivert goes in.
Yeah, Kluivert goes in for me. I know why we've picked this lineup, the predicted lineup, but I honestly do think, Kluivert will probably come in, for Tavernier. Again, it's this point, if the season's, only 5 games in. I know I've got very, very excited after 4 games and we're talking about the Champions League and ridiculous stuff like that. But at the same time, it's going to be a long 38 game season plus cups as well. Of course, of which we are only in one other, the FA Cup, which I'd like to see us have a right go at this year. So yeah, to be honest, to do that and to make sure that we need to freshen it up a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised, if Alex Scott stays in, Tyler Adams comes out for Christie. Andoni Iraola, will be assessing these players, and it could be completely different. It could just be those players that are on that pitch there. Who knows? But yeah, it's great again to see such a strong defence, despite despite how well we're doing. Really,
Yeah.
you'd expect a lot more. Being right at the top of the league, I think we're probably quite fortunate so far with regards to injuries. Of course, Lewis Cook is a doubt because of a shoulder,
Yeah.
but I think that's why he needs to be on the bench. But honestly, we'll see. And Andoni, no doubt, will make the right call.
And I think Evan Nilsson starts up top as always. I know,
Yeah, exactly.
people have said about his lack of goals. I know I've seen it on different
But a
things.
striker's not all about goals, Matt. A striker's
No,
not all about goals.
and this is why he starts for me.
Yeah.
He opens up space for the likes of Semenyo and Brooksy to cut in. Gives that space to Tavernier or Kluivert, whoever's playing in behind him. It's and people may disagree, but in my opinion, it's his off the ball work that he does, which is absolutely fantastic. Yes, I'm sure he's a striker. He will want more goals. That's just inevitable. He's not he's not going to want to not score, but at the same time, his gameplay, and I think any striker you stick into this formation is never going to get you 25 goals because the way we play. But do you know what? I've got a funny feeling this weekend Evan Nilsson's gonna get on the end of one. But when you look at Krupi, Krupi is a fantastic talent, someone that I'm really, really excited about. But again, similar to Julio Soler, they're developing players. And yes, they do need game time, don't get me wrong, but does Krupi start? I don't think he does.
Can't see it. No,
I don't.
No, I think Evan Nilsson has to start up front. And like you say, a good striker sometimes tears that defense apart, makes it awkward, brings the attention of other defenders to places where they shouldn't be, which will allow somebody like Justin Kluivert or Marcus Tavernier in. That's what Evan Nilsson's all about. That's what Solanke was all about before him as well. So, yeah, I think we're in agreement once again. But I'll tell you what, will we be in agreement with regards to our predicted score? Matt, do you want to go this week, or do you want me?
Yeah, no, I can do. Yeah, no, I
Go
can
for
do.
it.
I mean, I've been thinking about it, and I think, God, you know what? It's hard now because I had a score line in my head earlier, and now I'm trying to change it. My scoreline earlier was a draw. I'm not going to lie. I think it's such a difficult atmosphere up at Elland Road. I mean, they're really on top of you. History isn't in our favour. But then again, that's got to be broken at some point, hasn't it?
Exactly.
Now, obviously, last week's prediction, week before prediction was spot on. Last week's prediction was totally wrong. So, and I think I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with the draw, and I'm going to stick with a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. Well, it wouldn't be a bad result, but of course, everybody will know, and hopefully, if you haven't watched it, Leeds fans, Bournemouth fans, please go to the interviews tab and watch the interview with Simon Ricks from the Kaiser Chiefs. And do you know what? I do predict a riot. But that riot's going to be for AFC Bournemouth. And I think this is going to be a comfortable victory. We're playing that way. I think we are on the verge of beating somebody quite convincingly. And sorry, Leeds fans, I think it's going to be you. Imagine the hatred now in the comments. I can feel it. The heat. And I'm going to go for a 4-0 win at Elland Road. It's bold, but the players will know the history. The players will know, how much this means to the fans. I honestly think that, Fark, if he tries to adapt to our style, might get torn apart. And I'm going for a 4-0 victory. Sorry, Leeds fans. And I do think Leeds will stay up, though. That is
I hope you're right. I hope you're right with your score. Just to quickly touch on that, I hope you're right with your score, because I'd love to see that. That's a bit too ambitious for me. 4-0 would be great. I mean, it's not Old Trafford, is it? If it was Old Trafford, after doing them 2 times in a row, 3-0.
Yeah. You never know. It's good.
You never know, though. You do never know. You're right. You do never know.
Exactly. Well, there we are. There's our predictions. Bournemouth fans, Leeds fans, leave it in the comment section below. I know that there's probably going to be lots of hate. But yes, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell button below. We shall see you in the next one. And I know every day Leeds love me less and less. Thanks for joining us.
Up the Cherries in all departments has been nominated for the Best Club Content Creator for the Premier League. To vote, visit the link on screen. We thank you in advance for your support, and up the Cherries.
Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.